Hello, this video is about starting fly tying. So don't be put off by thinking it's something way beyond your capabilities. It's not. But like anything you do for the first time, you might make a bit of a mess. That doesn't matter. A lot of you might have gone round to a friend's house, on acquaintance, had a go at tying a fly, made a mess and thought that they're incredible people that can walk on water. But it's not the case. So if you want to end up with boxes of your own home tied flies, I'll show you what you need to do to actually start. Now there's loads of good fly tying videos, but most of them come from the assumption that you know what you're doing from the beginning. It's taking you from the beginner's level to the intermediate or advanced. What I'm going to show you, with the aid of this big C hook and some thick braid, is actually what you do to start your fly tying or your first fly. So I'm rubbing some wax through this braid. This is what you do with your fly tying thread or silk. It makes it bond to the hook shank better. So taking a little bit in one hand, and then the point is you cross over yourself. Now because you've done that, you can use this end here as you're tying onto the hook, holding it with a little bit of tension to act as a guide with your thread. Now what's a sin to do with fly tying is to do what I've just done then, is to let go without anything adding tension to the thread. But because it's been waxed, it isn't a complete disaster. Where you find people's beginners go wrong is that you need to get used to that feeling that as you're rotating round, you're pulling all the time, you're pulling on the thread. And if you remember that, you're 9/10 of the way to tying a fly. So how we normally keep tension on the thread is not tying it with your fingers, but using a bobbin holder like this, where the thread comes through a little hole at the top. Try and get a ceramic lined one, because they don't wear out in 5 minutes. In fact, this one's been on the go for over 30 years and is still fine. So your tools last a long time. You don't need masses of tools. You need a pair of really good quality, fine tipped scissors. They can be embroidery scissors, any types of scissors, as long as they cut to the tip and good quality. And then you want a pair of cheap discount or store scissors for cutting wires, coarse thread and materials, so you don't ruin your good scissors. And then the hackle pliers, which is to wind the hackle around the hook. So say this is the basis of tying a fly. Now I'm not going to mess on and try and tie something very important or a proper pattern here. At this point it doesn't matter at all. So you wanted, say this is your fly and you wanted a tail. And just for convenience we'll use a bunch of these fibres. So what you do is you make a little loop and you pull it down through your fingers, and then those fibres will be directly on top of the hook shank, and then you can go back over yourself. So there your fly's got a tail. Now you're probably wondering why I haven't cut that off. Well, this is braid, and it's incredibly difficult to cut even with a pair of decent scissors, so I'm just leaving that dangling for the moment, but normally you would have cut that end off early on. Now then, when you start fly tying, you'll be using your bobbin holder. The weight of the bobbin holder would keep your thread taut. But seeing as I haven't got a bobbin holder on at the moment, I'll just put this clamp on here, and I can show you the basics of tying a hackle. Wrapping a hackle around a hook shank must be 95% of the patterns that are about for fishing. So I've just pulled that bum fluff out of the way. I'm sure bum fluff is a technical term for that, but we'll find somebody who will write in and tell me. Anyway, placing the hackle on the hook, see how the curvature of the hackle is going away from me, and the good side of this hackle is facing me. That's the ropey side, that's a good side. And that's the side that you want to, that's the way you want to tie it to the hook. Now I'll just add that convenience weight again. Hackle pliers. You don't have to pay 50 quid for these, just get a basic set and they'll do you fine. Now what I should have done, and I'll do it now, is I should have clipped that away. So now you wrap your hackle around the hook, and if you stroke it a little bit as you wrap it, all the fibres will pop up. And then what you do now is you can flick the thread so that it traps that hackle. And a couple of turns under tension and that should snap off, which it does. So then if that was a fly we're fishing with, we'd pull all those fibres back, we'd go around a few times to form a head, and then we'd give it a twist to make a half hitch. Or if you weren't using half hitches, you can use a whip finish tool. Which works on that principle that you go round yourself a time or two. And I've made a complete mess of that. It doesn't matter, you can excuse me because of the size of the article and the condition I'm working on. What I'm trying to say, but not doing a particularly good job of it, is as long as you can just wrap the thread in the same direction with constant tension, going up and down a hook shank, you're probably 90% of the way to becoming a decent fly tyer. Now this is a sort of thread I've been using for most of my small trout flies. I recommend that if you're starting fly tying, start with some hooks around about size 8 or size 6 and have a go at tying something on those. And remember, if it's your own fly, almost anything bonded to a hook at some time or other will catch you a fish. And you get into an incredible world of feathers and materials which you can virtually write books about what types of chickens have been bred for these and quality of them. And this is a beautiful hen neck with some lovely feathers there for doing like Greenwell's Glories and so on. And they're really super quality. And that's another aspect of doing your own fly tying. You have complete control over the materials. You can go as cheap as you want or as expensive as you want. When you finish off your fly, put a little drop fly tying varnish on the head. So if you want to have an experiment, see whether you're up to tying a fly, just get some household cotton or silk or whatever it's called nowadays. Take a big hook, mount it in a pair of pliers, and fiddle on with a few feathers that you might find in the house in pillows, etc., and see what you think. See whether that gives you a taste for it to go to the next level. And nowadays with YouTube, you're absolutely spoiled because there's some truly amazing fly tyers that instruct to a very high degree. So say, once you understand about your thread tension and just that continual wrapping, you're laughing your way. So I hope you find this useful. If not, tell me why not. And thank you very much again for watching. Bye for now. Bye.